on the board here, I've got what's called the Cartesian coordinate plane. It's sometimes referred to as the Cartesian coordinate plane. It's basically an x-axis, which is a number line. Your regular number line you've always done, zeros in the middle, all the positive numbers going to the right, all the negative numbers going left. And then you position a vertical number line over 0, and going up is positive, going down is negative. That's the Cartesian coordinate plane. It's named that because it's named after René Descartes. René Descartes was a French mathematician who came up with a lot of graphing stuff. He gets credit for the Cartesian, that's C-R-T-E-S, Descartes, Cartesian coordinate plane. That's why it's called that. It's not some weird foreign word that means graphing. It's based on his name, Descartes. That's where it comes from. Okay. When you draw a graph, you are not at any point in time required to put these numbers on it. Okay? Now back in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade maybe, teachers forced you to do that. Hopefully by now you guys know that positive numbers go right, positive numbers go up, negative left, negative down. Yeah. All right. Also, you have the ability, when you draw a graph, you put a scale. For example, if I put x2, y3, that means every dash is 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and so on. I'm fine with that. If you want to scale graphs, just put a little colon next to it, tell me what the dash represents for you, and I'll know that. Okay? And then I can see that very easily. And then, if you do scale anything, for example, let's say I'm just scaling x but not y. So if I scaled x with 2, still put y 1 so I know that you're doing a 1 scale on y. So if you scale anything, make sure I know both scales. And make sure when you draw your x and y axes that you actually write x and you write y. Okay, just a couple picky things I'm about. X always goes to the far right, y always goes up on top. That way, if your graph gets turned around some way, shape, or form, I always know how to turn it so I'm looking at it correctly for how you meant it to be graphed. Okay, so whenever you draw your graph, vertical line, horizontal line, to the far right put an x, at the top put a y, and then start plotting your points from there. Also, this is not something that happens in this class specifically, but it's going to be coming up in the future. This has to do with quadrants, still the Cartesian coordinate plane. And this is more of a trigonometry idea, but it's important to know this. So, here we go. A quadrant is 1/4. All right, so when you hear the word quadrant, they're breaking things into fourths. There's also what's called octants. Those are broken into eighths. All right, so if you have a three-dimensional graph, that has octants. It has like here's your plane, the upper 4 and the lower 4 are the octants. But anyway, for a Cartesian coordinate plane, you have the quadrants. The first quadrant's the top right, and then you go counterclockwise to get the other 3 quadrants. A lot of stuff mathematically is based on quadrants, so know that you've been exposed to it. When we get to geotrig and you're doing trigonometry, we'll revisit that topic. Coordinates look like this. It's understood first number x, second number y. The x number is called the abscissa, the second number is called the ordinate. The only reason you need to know that is in case you're on some quiz show later in life and they say, hey, in an ordered pair, what's the second number called? Just say ordinate. You'll get you $15 million, whatever you get for the quiz show.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? Or what's the first number called? The abscissa. I never in my life use those words.
I used that word for speech.
Abscissa or ordinate?
Abscissa.
Abscissa, very nice. All right. But abscissa, apparently you can use them in speech also or on a quiz show. But abscissa also comes up in scientific notation. The number that's being multiplied by 10 to a power is called the abscissa also. It's used several different times. But the only reason I ever know this is because on Lesson 50 in Algebra 1 every year, I talk about this. But I don't ever use that terminology when I'm teaching. Plotting a point. And I know you guys know how to do this. I'm just going to pick out things that I've seen people do wrong and make sure you don't do it. Put your finger on the origin. The origin is where the axes cross. So going back here, that's the origin. Okay? Put your finger on the origin. Move horizontally the direction and distance of the first number in the ordered pair. Move your finger vertically the direction and distance of the second number, and then put a dot wherever your finger ends up. There's only one dot for every point. Okay, you don't put a dot for the x, a dot for the y. Just one dot. Okay? That's how you do it. So, let's try it out. Plot the point 3, 3. So here's my graph. X-coordinate, x-axis, y-axis. I'm looking at 3, 3. So I put my finger at the origin. 3 spaces to the right for the positive 3, 3 spaces up for the positive 3, and I put a dot where my finger ends up. Point 2. The ones with zeros are the ones that mess people up typically, so if you're getting these wrong, probably it's going to be a 0 one. Put my finger in the origin, -4 for the first number, 1, 2, 3, 4 left, 0 up or down. Second number 0, so I end up on the x-axis, -4, 0. Third point, 0, -3, so I start at the origin. The first number tells me to not move left or right, the second number 3 down. There's my third point. And my final point, 4, -2, that tells me to put my finger at the origin, 1, 2, 3, 4 right, 1, 2 down. And you plot your 4 points.
Pretty cool.
For the sake of the independent practice on the back, let me just show you what I want you to do with this. It's real simple. You get a bunch of graphs that look like this. You got some points underneath it, right? All right. So look at number 1. It says to plot 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you plot -1, -4, left 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. Then you plot 1, 0. That's 1 right and 0 up or down. Those line up in a straight line, correct?
Yeah.
So you get your straight edge. Please get a straight edge. I don't have a purple color here. That one. All right. Get your straight edge and you draw a straight line through the points. And whatever letter gets intersected, notice that F got intersected there by the line. Number 1 on here is an F. Does that make sense? So plot all the points. They're going to line up in a straight line. If they don't, you plotted one of the points wrong. Try the one with 0 first. That's probably the one you plotted wrong. If I did that 0, 1 instead, it would have been here, and that doesn't line up with the other two. So if you plot a point wrong, it's probably a 0 point that you plotted wrong. But again, they line up in a straight line, connect the dots. Whatever letter they intersect is the one that counts. Put that wherever the number is at the bottom. That's how the independent practice works.